The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
All right, good day, tokers and tokettes, and welcome to the show. We've made it to the weekend. It's Friday, August 9th, 2013, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world, and maybe right here in Parrish, Florida. We are at the home of Bob and Cathy Jordan here in Florida. We're going to be bringing you a live interview with Cathy at 45 after in our activist agenda, and of course, she is the activist of the year here in the state of Florida, fighting for medical marijuana in one of the toughest states to fight for it. But you know, they got 70% support for this in the polls, so I know we can make it happen. We'll talk to Bob and Cathy, give you an update on their situation. You know, they were raided by the Manatee County Sheriffs, and oh, speaking of the Manatee County Sheriffs, I have a story in Behind the Headlines for you today about how they are being investigated by the DEA. Shoes on the other foot, Sheriff. Isn't that nice? Also on today's show, we got an interview we recorded yesterday with Steve Burke. He's the running for the mayor of Miami Beach, Florida. You know him from the videos Pot Shop and Should Be Legalized, the parody videos that we've played here on 420 Radio. We went to his, 22nd floor penthouse apartment, something like that, in Miami Beach, and did a quick interview with him yesterday. We'll play that for you on today's show, so stay tuned for that. Also on today's show, we've got our Rockin' Friday Daily Toker Tunes. Although Herb Thrasher has the day off today, we're going to bring you something from the Northwest String Summit. You know the band, The Goddamn Gallows. We're big fans of these guys. Y'all motherfuckers need Jesus. That's what we're playing today. So stick around for that tune. But before we get to all of that, we've got our 420 radio news. And on the news today, of course, the headlines are still all about Sanjay Gupta. We got some non-Sanjay Gupta news for you today. The DEA SOD scandal about using terrorism spying data in drug cases. We're going to cover more about that as defense lawyers are seeking to gain some access to that data. President Obama pledged greater transparency in surveillance. We've got the first medical marijuana clinic opening in Chicago, Illinois, some armed robbery in San Francisco at a dispensary, and one of our least favorite people in the world, Clell Bodler, the state senator from Iowa, has been named one of the worst legislators on the marijuana issue. We'll tell you what his reaction to that was. All of that coming up on today's Russ Belville Show, so stick around. We'll be right back.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.
Everywhere you go in Washington State, things are greener than ever. Why? Because last November, Washington voters made adult recreational use of cannabis legal, which is why the High Times U.S. Cannabis Cup is coming to Seattle once again to salute Washington's historic victory. If you love cannabis, then get yourself over to the High Times U.S. Cannabis Cup on September 7th and 8th as the marijuana community gathers in force to celebrate our newfound freedom. Meet the businesses of the emerging cannabis industry. Learn about cultivation, topical oils, concentrates, edibles, and more. Sample dabs, buds, and delectable morsels of cannabis cuisine. Then rock out on Saturday night at our Smokin' Hot concert featuring Slightly Stupid and Redman. And of course on Sunday evening, we present the U.S. Cannabis Cups for the top indicas, sativas, hybrids, edibles, and concentrates of the great state of Washington. Plus, we honor professional traveler and outspoken cannabis advocate Rick Steves with the High Times Lifetime Achievement Award. Come to Fremont Studios on September 7th and 8th in Seattle for a historic celebration. Go to medcancup.com for details. Be part of the growing cannabis community.
Now it's time for your 420 Radio News for Friday, August 9th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. U.S. defense lawyers to seek access to DEA hidden intelligence evidence. This from Reuters.com. Civil defense lawyers are challenging a U.S. government practice of hiding the tips that led to some drug investigations, information that lawyers say is essential to fair trials in U.S. courts. The practice of creating an alternative investigative trail to hide how a case began, what federal agents called parallel construction, has never been thoroughly tested in court, lawyers and law professors said in interviews this week. Kenneth Bailey, who defends drug cases in Sandusky, Ohio, said his firm was drafting new motions in light of the documents made public by Reuters. Quote, evidence which could prove my client's innocence is being intentionally concealed, end quote, Bailey said. The Justice Department is reviewing the practice of parallel construction, and two high-profile Republican congressmen have raised questions about it. The U.S. Supreme Court, for example, has ruled that police may stop a vehicle for any traffic offense, even if that offense was minor, and police had a different motive for detaining the motorist, such as a tip. The 1996 Sorry for the delay there, folks. Had a disconnection in our internet. We return you now to the news. High demand. First marijuana clinic opens in Chicago from CBSChicago.com. Less than a week since it was signed into law, the state's first medical marijuana clinic has opened its doors, and already the demand is high. CBS 2's Chris Martinez reports that the clinic in Wicker Park has received over 1,000 calls since Governor Quinn signed the law last Thursday, creating the clinics that allow people to get prescriptions for marijuana. Marijuana won't be handed out there, only prescriptions, and only if a patient's illness is one of the 35 covered by the new law. The law will allow registered patients to obtain up to 2.5 ounces of medical marijuana every 2 weeks from a dispensary that the patient specifies during the applications process. Armed robbers take jars of medical marijuana from San Francisco dispensary from CBS in San Francisco. 20 jars of medical marijuana were taken in an armed robbery in San Francisco's Mission District on Thursday, according to police. A medical marijuana dispensary in the 2500 block of Mission Street opened around 10 a.m., which is when 2 suspects entered the business, police said. The suspects pointed handguns at 4 employees, including a 54-year-old man, and instructed them to lie on the ground. The suspects then took 20 jars of product and then fled to a car parked about 3 blocks away, police said. They drove off in a black 4-door sedan and still remain at large. This has been your 420 Radio News for Friday, August 9th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines on a local story of great interest to those of us in this home. The Manatee County Sheriff's Department is being investigated by the DEA, the same sheriffs that raided Bob and Cathy Jordan. I'll tell you why when we come back. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, home of the famous lighter leash. Herb Age Designs, get your Herb Age t-shirts and hoodies and show your pride. Herb Age Designs, we've got frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs. We've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter. We'll see you at this year's Hemp Fest. Crank it up.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show.
Yeah, we've made a call on the controversial marijuana ballot question, Amendment 64. Floyd, we can safely say this is going to pass?
It is legal in the Constitution to possess and grow up to 6 plants.
You cannot be arrested for being in possession of an ounce of marijuana.
Colorado and the state of Washington, they voted to legalize marijuana, not for medical use, but for recreational use.
This is the beginning of taking apart prohibition one state at a time. That's how they did it 80 years ago against alcohol. That's how we're going to do it now against marijuana. We are the champions. We are the champions.
All right, folks, 15 after the hour and time for us to go behind the headlines. And we got a story today that actually Bob Jordan turned me on to. This is coming from the HeraldTribune.com here in Florida. And it's about the Manatee County Sheriffs. Now, this is an interesting story to us because you may have remembered from our news earlier this year about how the Manatee County Sheriff, that would be Sheriff Brad Stubbe, had been involved in putting together a raid on Bob and Cathy Jordan. And of course, Bob's growing medical marijuana to help treat his wife's illness, and for years had been left alone by the previous sheriffs, the previous administrations. But this Brad Stubbe decided, we got to do something about the druggies. We got to go after the people that are taking drugs in our county. We can't have Manatee County going crazy with drugs. Well, just check this story out. The Manatee Sheriff confirms the resignation of 3 deputies. From Herald Tribune, they say sheriff's officials have confirmed the names of the 3 deputies involved in an internal investigation. Deputy Thomas Peel has been terminated, while deputies Tom Frank and Chris Tucker resigned. Sheriff spokesman Dave Bristow would not address the nature of the allegations. Manatee County Sheriff Brad Stubbe said earlier the deputies were charged with conduct unbecoming of a police officer. Conduct unbecoming of a police officer. No, they're not talking about raiding Vietnam vets and their wives that are taking medical marijuana. That apparently is conduct becoming of an officer. But no, the conduct here, according to mysuncoast.com, tells us that the DEA, this is their headline, DEA probes Manatee County Sheriff's Office. This is the ABC 7 local news in Sarasota. One day after the sheriff's office confirmed the termination of 1 deputy and the resignation of 2 others for behavior unbecoming of a law enforcement officer, ABC 7 News has learned that the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency has an active investigation underway involving the Manatee County Sheriff's Department. Imagine that. The shoe's on the other foot. Now the sheriffs are being investigated for drugs. But folks, we're not talking about marijuana use or medical use for these deputies, or even recreational use for that matter. According to the mysuncoast.com, the ABC Local 7 says, independent, reliable sources tell ABC 7 News that the investigation involves performance-enhancing drugs and may extend beyond the sheriff's department to other municipal agencies in the government there, in the local government. So this is shocking. Of course, if we're talking about performance-enhancing drugs, one that comes to mind here would be steroids. And we can imagine some of these police officers wanting to bulk up and be an all tough guy and such, getting themselves involved with these performance-enhancing drugs. And the shock of this is that they seem to have plenty of time here to go after Cathy and other medical marijuana users in this state, people that are just trying to stay alive or alleviate some terrible pain or other symptoms. Meanwhile, they want to be pumping themselves full of steroids. Have you heard of roid rage, you guys? This term first appeared in the 1980s after a bunch of violent crimes were committed by bodybuilders, and they're anabolic steroids. They mimic testosterone, and studies have shown clear associations between testosterone and aggression. In general, these hormones change the body's chemistry, change the brain's chemistry. And the research also shows conflicting results for the existence of steroid-induced rages. If they do exist, they happen rarely and likely only among excessive users with pre-existing psychological issues. Well, we would like to think that the police departments in America are doing some amount of psychological testing or counseling or evaluation on these officers before we give them the power to carry a gun and burst into people's houses and ruin their lives. But in fact, when it comes down to it, a lot of these smaller police departments, these county sheriffs and so on, don't have much of a system to check for this kind of stuff. So we're talking about guys who want to be cops, who want to have this feeling authority, want to be the big man. And then we're going to give them steroids on top of that. We're going to exacerbate that macho feeling in these guys. This is something that is far more of concern to the people of Manatee County than whether or not a few medical marijuana patients are taking care of their symptoms using cannabis. These are officers that are sworn to protect and serve, people who have the power over life and death, over what's going on in this county. And to think that they're involved with performance-enhancing drugs, and who else in this county is involved with it? They said it might extend to other municipal offices. We talking about firefighters? We talking about EMTs? These are people that, we want to have at their sharpest. We want to have at their best judgment. They have to make snap life and death decisions. They shouldn't have their brains all pumped up with these performance-enhancing drugs that are known to cause aggression and rage in some people. Let's get our priorities straight here in Manatee County. All right, and that sound tells us it's 20 after the hour. That means it's 420 back in my home state of Idaho, where it's almost as dry as it is here in Florida. And almost as red, too. Hey, smoke one for me while we take a break. Be right back.
Funny reefer man, a reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man, a reefer man? If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Have you considered medical marijuana? Double-blind, peer-reviewed studies have found cannabinoid therapies to be successful in treating the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, brain cancer, chronic pain, diabetes mellitus, dystonia, fibromyalgia, GI disorders, hepatitis C, HIV/AIDS, hypertension, incontinence, MRSA, multiple sclerosis, osteoporosis, pruritus, rheumatoid arthritis, sleep apnea, and Tourette's syndrome, as well as anecdotal evidence in suggesting relief from anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress, plus reduction in the need for narcotic painkillers. Side effects from medical marijuana can include euphoria, relaxation, anxiety, panic reaction, paranoia, tachycardia, dry eyes, dry mouth, concentration and reaction time impairments, appetite increase, and in some U.S. states, arrest and incarceration. But medical marijuana is non-toxic and cannot cause overdose. Medical marijuana. It's not for everyone, but ask your doctor.
I have the freedom to think however I want. This is the United States of America, and I think I'll let Terry do the thinking for me. Terry Joyce puts the probe back in prohibition. Terry Joyce knows more about conspiracy theories than anyone in the United States of America, and that's because she makes up most of them. Terry Joyce can host a show like no one's ever seen. But that's only because no one's ever seen her host a show before. That's why I'm asking you to watch the Hollywood Hempress Hour with Terry Joyce. And you can trust me because I'm a warlock. Witch's honor.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Rockin' Friday, featuring rock, metal, and the hard edge of alternative country. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, welcome back, everybody. 23 after the hour, and we are definitely taking you to the hard edge of alternative country on today's Rockin' Friday. Herb Thrasher turned me on to this band. We've played him a few times on the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. And speaking of Herb, just got to let you know, he's got the day off tonight. We're going to play a replay of the Flower Hour tonight, so stay tuned for that. 8 o'clock Pacific time, 2 hours of rock, metal, and alternative country. Now, Herb was up at the Northwest String Summit, which is held at Horning's Hideout. It's a very, very famous event that takes place year after year. He always goes up there, has a great time. And, you know, Herb Thrasher's got this theory. If guys play guitar fast, he likes it. He don't care if it's metal or bluegrass, man. If they're playing guitar fast, that's shredding, and that's what he's all about. So I'm bringing this tune up. We played it on the Flower Hour last week. It's a song that we've played before on Flower Hour and on this show, but we've never had a live version of it. This is the live version of the Goddamn Gallows doing Y'all Motherfuckers Need Jesus. So enjoy.
I got a question for you, Armageddon Fest. Festival is, do you feel him inside of you? Do you feel him penetrating you? Y'all motherfuckers named Jesus! You motherfuckers named Jesus! Any y'all get away? We can keep your Bible close. The Bible this time here with the audio. You better fucking name it. You got to keep it in your life. But the devil's in your son.
Yeah, I watch MTV all the time. They have the Rock Against Drug commercials, that whole campaign. And these guys have, like, slid into fucking school buses and killed 20 children. Rather than facial license, they made a public service announcement. Yeah, no shit. I love these guys that is, hello, listen, don't get caught with drugs or you'll have to do a commercial just like this one. I think I found the message. The message is don't get caught. Rock Against Drugs. What a fucking name. Somebody was high when they came up with this title. It's like Christians Against Christ. Rock created drugs. What are they talking about? They go together, folks.
Are you or is someone you know a marijuana smoker? Have you or is someone in your family been arrested for a marijuana violation? You need to know the truth about pot. NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, is the most comprehensive source of information regarding marijuana and its effects on health, as well as legal issues. NORML even offers a database of lawyers specializing in cannabis in your area. NORML, the nation's largest and most successful marijuana law reform organization, has spent decades gathering the knowledge and science on everything related to cannabis. NORML is the best resource to find out the truth about marijuana, connect with a lawyer in your area, or help find an end to prohibition. Information is available at NORML.org, that's NORML.org, or toll free at 888-67-NORML.
The cannabis community includes a diverse set of activists and nonprofits working to end the prohibition of marijuana. We take the time to hear the stories of reform on the Russ Belville.
whether or not to run again because it was not a pleasant process.
Oh yeah, what was so unpleasant? I mean,
I don't know. I went into the race kind of ambitious and all wide-eyed, and then I realized how dirty politics is, and I learned that it's a very thankless project. I mean, people giving me the middle finger. I got death threats. I got all kinds of nasty emails, and it was just how do I explain it? It was an uncomfortable process because the amount of work it took to compete with the system, the political system being you need to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you don't have a lot of money, good luck. I didn't run just to run. I ran because I wanted to win. So I spent a lot of my own money. I invested $50,000 of my own money into that race.
Wow.
And what do you get for it afterwards? Nothing. You came in second. So,
first loser.
It was expensive, but what we did accomplish was we raised a lot of awareness for certain issues that weren't being brought into the public conversation. For example, our Miami Beach Convention Center is like the economic engine that drives our city. Nobody was talking about it. I was the first one to kind of bring plans and bring a rendering of what this convention center can and should be. And of course, now 2 years later, we're voting on it. This November 5th, we're voting on whether or not to get a $1.2 billion new convention center. Pension crisis, a lot of local municipal issues that most people would be bored about, but we raised a lot of awareness for these issues, and so while my campaign wasn't successful in getting elected, it was successful in raising awareness for certain issues that residents need raising awareness of.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you mentioned the dirty aspect of politics. Did any of this have to do with people recognizing your activism toward marijuana legalization and having a negative opinion of that?
Sure. I think, obviously, people knew my YouTube videos and having a candidate that had kind of silly videos on the internet was a unique challenge for my opponents because how do you attack me for that? That's my profession. That's what I do. That's how I make my revenue. And so it was difficult, but they used it. They definitely said, "Oh, he thinks that this election's a joke, and he's not taking this seriously." And if I wasn't taking it seriously, I wouldn't have spent months and months of my time and thousands of dollars of my own money in trying to get elected. One of the reasons why I ran for office is because the more I looked into our local municipal government, the more outraged I became with how everything is being run like a banana republic. And, we have a mayor. She's now being termed out. This is her last term. We had a mayor that I felt was, the best way to describe our mayor in Miami Beach was like if you had Michelle Bachmann and Sarah Palin have a baby who spoke Spanish and English, but neither language too well. That's what our mayor is like.
Hey, I said a drink to get this awful taste out of my mouth. That's terrible.
Yeah, so I was disappointed with our elected officials, and what I learned is that if you don't play the game in Miami Beach, if you don't play the political game, you can't get elected. And if you do play the game, you can get elected no matter how bad of a public servant you're going to be. And so unfortunately for this upcoming election, I have to play the game a little bit more.
Now this this was the incumbent mayor you ran against previously. So
Correct.
Now that it's a wide open field, you feel your chances are better. You're not running against an incumbent.
Sure, yeah. Defeating an incumbent in politics is really, really difficult because the way that they set things up, they make it difficult for you to defeat an incumbent.
I think in the House of Representatives, it's like 96% of them win re-election.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
really
Nationwide, it's similar.
It's really difficult. But yeah, this year our mayor is termed out. We have an open seat, so my chances are much better. My name recognition is much stronger. I've stayed active in our community. I've served on a board in Miami Beach, and people are comfortable with me as a community activist now. Before, I kind of came out of nowhere.
Excellent. And I understand you're doing something this weekend. Maybe we should tell people about
Yeah. So this weekend, Saturday, the second Saturday of every month in Miami Beach is Art Walk, and for people who don't know, Miami has one of the most unique communities in the entire world where we had a neglected area of town that one developer invited street artists to go and paint walls of neglected and abandoned buildings. And now it's become every year during Art Basel, which is a huge art fair in December, we have all these famous artists that come down and paint all these walls, and now it's just an incredible neighborhood. You walk around, you drive around, and every single building is painted by Shepard Fairey and Retina, and it's incredible. And so every second Saturday, all the galleries in that neighborhood open up, and they give free drinks and free food, and all the Miami residents come and take a look at all the different art.
All right, so there's this great event that's going on this Saturday. We're going to be covering it on 420 Radio. It's the Art Walk here in Miami. You're a big part of this. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So Art Walk is an event that happens the second Saturday of every month in a neighborhood called Wynwood. Wynwood used to be this abandoned, neglected part of Miami until a developer by the name of Goldman invited a bunch of artists to come and paint all the walls of the abandoned buildings in there. And little by little, after about 7-8 years, the entire neighborhood got painted. And it's incredible. We have famous artists from Shepherd Ferry all the way to like local artists like Abstract who have painted all the walls here. And it's become like kind of a local Miami thing. And second Saturday, everyone comes out, and anywhere from 20,000 to 100,000 people are walking around the streets there. We happen to be throwing an event on Saturday. It's called the Free Your Mind event. And it's from a local Miami artist, and it's at the new Be Free Media event space. And it's their grand opening. They're helping me on my campaign this year. They've donated a couple electric cars. We're going to be giving people free rides in Miami Beach and handing out campaign materials. And for anybody who's seen the video Pot Shop, we filmed in Wynwood. All those graffiti walls that you see in that video are in the Wynwood neighborhood. So it's exciting. The event's going to start at 8 o'clock this Saturday and go until the last person leaves the space. But it should be a lot of fun.
All right. So people come out to that if you're in the area, and if people want to help the Steve Burke campaign, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way is to go on my website, steveburkeformayor.com. It's B-E-R-K-E, so kind of an unusual spelling for the last name. But yeah, you can go and you can donate on the website, or you can just check out my videos, play some games, see what I'm all about. And if you want to come out, if you're in the South Florida area and you want to come out to the event on Saturday, the address is 2312 North Miami Avenue. So it's on 23rd in North Miami.
All right. So, I imagine running for mayor is going to keep you really, really busy, but we love the videos you put out. We love the activism you do with the marijuana community. What's next as far as that direction for you? Is it on hold during your mayoral campaign?
Yes and no. Yeah. People know me for, campaigning in kind of an unorthodox fashion. So I'm in the process of writing a Jay-Z parody, and it's going to include my entire platform in the video. I did one 2 years ago. It was a Bruno Mars parody called Platform, actually. It was a grenade parody, and I sang my entire platform in that video. So I'm going to be doing another one, and it looks like that my entire campaign is going to be covered by MTV this year.
Oh, wow.
So, it's not going to air until after the campaign, but we're going to have cameras filming my every move, and it's going to be exciting. They're doing a 1-hour documentary on my candidacy for mayor.
Wow. And speaking of the videos that you do, writing this new parody and everything, we saw a brief cameo in your last one, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis parody. But what reaction do you get from the artists when you do these parodies?
Usually really positive.
Yeah.
Every artist I've ever parodied has contacted me somehow. I think my very first parody was The Script, and they messaged me on MySpace. That was back a few years
back
ago.
in the day.
People actually used MySpace. The only artist that I parodied that never got in contact, I don't know if he's seen it or not, is Eminem with the Should Be Legalized. But everybody else loves my parodies, and I know my agent's trying to get in contact with Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake. They're going to be here in Miami on August 16th, so we're going to see if we can get them in this next parody as well.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Jay-Z, Justin, if you're watching, make sure you get a hold of Steve, because they follow the show all the time.
If they're going to party in South Beach, they're definitely going to come to our club. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, this is fantastic. We wish you the best of luck running for mayor, and if there's anything we can do to help, we're always right here for you.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Obviously, I'm a fan of the show. I've listened to it many, many a times, and Normal's been a big help, always promoting my my activism, so I'm very grateful for that. And there's going to be lots more, so stay tuned. Check out the Steve Burke Comedy channel on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Steve Burke Comedy. And thanks for having me, Russ.
All right, thank you.
All right.
And if I could do one more thing, if you could just say, hey, this is Steve Burke, you're listening to 420 Radio.
Sure. Hey.
And that's where the batteries ran out. But we got another recording of him saying that. So you'll hear that at the 20 after breaks every now and then on 420 Radio. Hey, folks, we got to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to be talking with these two wonderful people, Bob and Cathy Jordan, live here in Parrish, Florida. So stick around. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel?
The Russ Belville Show reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while. Share. Activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
Welcome back, everybody. It's 42 past the hour, and I am so excited to begin this interview. We are live at the home of Bob and Cathy Jordan right here in Parrish, Florida. Bob, Cathy, thanks for having us here.
Oh, glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for going and talking to us.
Absolutely. You know, if folks need to get caught up on your situation, basically, Cathy is the namesake behind the Cathy Jordan Medical Marijuana Act, bill, initiative.
Your bill.
No.
The bill at this point?
Yeah, medical marijuana bill.
All right. And so, Cathy, the situation with Cathy here is that you were diagnosed in, was it 1986?
Mm-hmm.
And let's get that mic real close to your voice there and tell folks a little bit about what happened and how cannabis came into your life.
Well, in 1986, I was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And in 1989, I realized the disease had devastated my body. So I come to Florida on vacation to end my life. And while I was here, I smoked a strong strain of cannabis called Maca Gold. And I felt my disease stop.
Wow. So you were ready to just end it all, and then finding cannabis, you weren't even expecting this to do anything for you. It's just kind of vacation, right?
Yeah, I figured what they're gonna do, kill me.
Exactly. What are you worried about getting addicted? What?
Yeah.
And so this was just a couple years after the diagnosis?
In 89.
89. And how long had they given you as far as, I mean, they usually diagnose this as something that's fairly terminal fairly quickly.
Oh, yeah. They told me 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years back in 1989.
Yeah.
And you're still here.
Now in 86. In 89, I told them that cannabis stopped my disease. And that's when they wanted to put me in the mental ward, because they thought I was delusional.
Oh, really?
The doctor said to me, we were in the doctor's office, and he said, she said that cannabis was helping her, and turned around and he said, well, we have to do something. She's not dealing with her demise very well. We may have to put her in a mental institution. But she wasn't even in the room.
Wow.
And she said, no, don't do that. I won't say it again. I won't say it to anybody else ever again.
Oh.
You know, so she stopped talking about it.
Wow.
And then years went by, she kept using it. I was skeptical. And then the devastation she has now happened in the first 3 years. But as time's going on, we went to a doctor not too long ago, and he said she's in better shape than I am.
Wow.
And she's aging naturally now. And it's, you know, they asked us, well, how's it work? I don't know how it works. All I know is when she has it, she's better, and when she doesn't have it, she can go about 3 or 4 days without cannabis, and then twitches come back, depression sets in, all the symptoms start coming back. As soon as I get some, and they turn around and uses it, and then little by little she comes back. So all I know is it works.
Yeah,
and that's for the doctors to figure out how it works.
Right, and if it works, it works. And,
right.
And the evidence is here, and how can we deny Cathy the right to be able to use this and stay alive? And that leads us to, you know, an interesting discussion about the effects of cannabis and its side effects. We were kind of talking earlier about how they keep trying to get rid of the high, as if that's a bad thing. But another side effect that, I mean, even the casual pot smoker knows about is dry mouth. And that's actually a good thing in your case, right?
No, yes, because most people with ALS, they drown in their own saliva.
Wow. So it's like a drool kind of situation.
Yeah.
And so
we've met several people through the years that have to actually carry a rag inside their mouth to get the drool and they can't stop it. And we've tried to help them, to help themselves, but the stigma behind this is unbelievable. It's unreal. The fear that people have, like, oh no, if it was good for you. We had 10, 15 people in an ALS group. We said if it was that good, the government would give it to us. That's what they really thought.
Wow.
And these people were dying, and we're trying to open their eyes and say, well, at least look at her. And then it got to the point where we had to stop going to the support groups because they're all dying. She would get depressed. So I said, no, we're not going to this no more.
Yeah.
So something's going on, and it's working.
It's definitely working. And this leads us now to the situation you're in. We're in Florida. This is a state where possession of more than 20 grams of cannabis is a felony, and where growing a single plant can get you serious time. Tell us about your experience in the intervening years after Cathy discovered cannabis would work for her. How did you manage to be able to supply her with cannabis and grow cannabis in this state?
Well, very carefully.
Yeah.
To say the least. But there was like she mentioned the Mayanka Gold that she smoked before, and that was grown by a guy named Donnie Clark, and he got sentenced to life in prison, and for growing marijuana, and Cathy smoked his pot and got life. So they're like the odd couple, life and life. But it turns around right now that I just have to be careful, and we were being quiet about it, not doing anything. And I was through the years I found out a strain that she uses called Power Plant, 50% sativa and 50% indica, and it does everything she needs to do. And what happens is I just go out in the backyard and being quiet. Well, somebody got nosy and looked over the fence and then called the police. Now the police are involved. They come take her medicine. So,
and this is the Manatee County Sheriff.
Manatee County Sheriff's Office. The guys on steroids.
That's right.
So I mean, they're so innocent, you know. And but actually, the guys that came up with the uniform guys, I had a problem with them because they came on real strong. But the undercover guys, when they got in the house, when nobody was around, they said, they knew it was no grow operation. It's too small to be for profit.
Sure.
It had to be just for personal use. And he said, well, maybe we can't say we agree with you, but maybe we can say we don't disagree with you. Wow. You know? So, I mean, they treated us with kid gloves and, you know, they got two guys in my kitchen with ski masks on. I said, come on, are you shitting me? Are you kidding me? You know, two guys, a disabled woman in a wheelchair and a disabled vet, and they got ski masks on.
Right.
So, but they got a job to do. I mean, the way the law is, I am breaking the law in Florida. So that's where we're at now. We're trying to get the law changed. And
well, what's been the after effect of this raid, though? Are they still prosecuting you?
Well, right now we're in limbo.
No, actually, I have medical necessity, but there's no guarantee that the sheriff will not come here.
Now, medical necessity is something already recognized in a Florida law?
Yes, okay. Yes. It would be more of a heinous crime to arrest me and keep me from cannabis than it would be to arrest me for cultivation. But they have not said I could actually grow or what I could grow. They have not said nothing.
So it's really just their discretion right now because they don't want to set any precedent or give people any ideas that this is a defense.
Yeah. Well, also, well, it is the best defense you're going to have in Florida is a medical necessity, and only because that you have to meet 3 criteria. There's nothing else out there. You have exhausted all other measures, and what was the third one?
You can't do it. You can't be like an alcoholic or a drug addict. You have to exhaust all.
There can be self-inflicted.
Yeah. And you can't exhaust all other measures. And the thing you're trying to avoid is more harmful than you actually breaking the law.
Right.
So they got in touch with Dennis Petro, and
Dr. Dennis.
Dr. Dennis, and what a great guy. And he told me, he said that there is nothing for ALS. There's no other medication for ALS. He said there is some experimental ones, but they have a side effect up to and including death. So therefore,
that's a hell of a side effect.
yeah. It's a long-lasting side effect.
Yeah.
And they turn around.
The one I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah, the one she was trying to avoid.
And done a hell of a job doing it.
So when they heard from him and realized that, I was on the up and up and all, so now they got us in this gray area. So right now there's a lawsuit against them. I'm suing them for my pipe plants back. The sheriff's office for get my pipe plants back because I put it this way: there's no difference in them coming to my house, taking my waste of medicine, than going to somebody else's house and taking their cancer medication. What's the difference? Yeah. There is no difference. They're keeping her alive. And when people don't understand, well, they had 23 plants. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not a lot because you try to get a perpetual harvest. You got to get one ready to place that one, and when you get the dry weight, it takes a lot to do that.
Sure.
And
but as far as they're concerned, it's 23 $2,000 plants.
Right, yeah. It was $1,500 to $1,700. I had 3 waist high plants, weren't budding yet, and 20 seedlings that didn't even have roots on them, and they charged me with plants for each one of them. So, and they're the ones that came up with the price, not me. If I could sell a seedling for $1,700, well, I'll sell them all day long.
Well, it's a little like selling an acorn and promising a log cabin.
Exactly. Hey, I like that. That's a good one.
Let's talk about the political aspects of this, because you have been involved with the Cathy Jordan Medical Marijuana Act, trying to get this passed. We've heard of now a big funder, John Morgan, getting involved in this, and we've talked with Kim Russell with People United. A lot of people are trying to fight this battle. What has it been like for you as a disabled patient and a disabled Vietnam vet, patrolling the halls of Tallahassee trying to get the laws changed?
Well, actually, right now, Florida can, myself and Jody James, and we will be up there this year. But this year we are actually going to start grading the candidates. We are going to grade every senator and every member of the House. And the people of Florida know which ones are in favor, which ones are not in favor, which ones think that this is just nothing. As we're getting signatures for Morgan and Morgan, we are also getting signatures for Senator Gabbana. Because right now, Sheriff Stibbe, his son, is representative, correct?
Okay. The sheriff's son is your rep. Okay.
He was rather upset with me because of what happened was the raid here. But if the legislators would do their job and make this happen in Florida, then we will not have to put it on the ballot. We will not have to wait that long. This could be done this year with this House and this Senate. There is no reason why it cannot be done.
Yeah, we've seen the polling coming out saying 7 out of 10 Floridians support this, but if you go with an initiative, boy, you got to spend the money on signatures, and I understand with the constitutional amendment, you got to get 60%. That's pretty tough to do.
60% is almost impossible. Yeah. So that's why they come up with that number. That's just an arbitrary number. They thought long and hard on that 60%. So there's a lot of other different things going into this, and that's the difference between us. We're what do you call it? We're not partisan. It would only be a partisan issue if only Democrats got sick. Okay, everybody we talk to up there, one of the frustrating things is they talk to us at an official meeting and say, well, I don't think we can do this. Go out in the hall and they'll say, somebody in my family used that, and good luck. Well, get back in the damn room and tell the people that. Don't tell me it's a nod and wink deal. This is serious business. And I'm trying to keep my wife alive, and they come up with it. But we, going from the very beginning, going up there years ago, we went up there as a joke. And literally laughed at us. I had one guy tell Cathy, "You're that sick, go home and drink some whiskey." Boy. Oh, yeah, that ignorant. Wow. That ignorant. And then now, when we left this last year, the senators would be coming down the hallway and see Cathy in her wheelchair. They turn around and go the other way. They really, really would. And when we go back up this year, we're definitely not a joke. they know we're serious and it's a serious issue. And now that Morgan's on board and they're scared of Morgan, we feel that we've got a better bill that's got a lot of things worked out that the initiative doesn't. For example, in order to have a dispensary, you have to be a Florida resident for 5 to 7 years. Yeah. That way, it stops people from just moving in and trying to get the people in Florida a chance. You know, we got the regulation for the farms. There's a lot to it in the bill, but there's also a lot of different things involved in this that have to be taken care of. If not, it's going to be done half-assed. And we don't want that. And so therefore, if we go up there this year, I think they'll pay a lot more attention to us. I really do. I think we got something here.
I think so, and I know a lot of our audience is cheering for you, and they want to see a state in the South make a change, and I think Florida can be that state that makes that change. If people want to donate or help you guys out, do you have some contact information for them?
Oh, yes, floridacan.org.
floridacan.org.
FLCAN.org.
FLCAN.org.
Yeah.
All right, FLCAN.org. Check that out. And one last question before we wrap things up. It's kind of interesting now that with the involvement of John Morgan, I've been talking to people that know Florida politics better than I, and they're telling me that there's kind of a ulterior motive here with getting involved with medical marijuana with regards to Charlie Crist, the former Republican turned Democrat.
Well, let's put it this way. You never know what's in somebody's heart. I'll take Morgan at his word, and he's doing it because of what he said he's doing it for. But there's some things going on. For instance, the 60% we mentioned before, that's a hard threshold to make. If Charlie Crist runs for governor, he only needs 51%.
Yeah.
And nothing brings out the liberals and independents and Democrats like this issue. So if he's a Democrat and runs, he could ride the coattails of this into the governorship. I don't want to think it's like that, but politics is politics. We're not political. This is a health issue. It's got to be done and done right, and we got the opportunity to do it now. We figured if it'd be like 2016, if they do the initiative, and before we could have a dispensary, we could have it
next October.
Next October we could have it. That makes sense if the people just get in touch with their representatives. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, I know. Alongside Bobby on the way. You're kicking off things that I didn't want to. Anyway, as we're wrapping up things here, let me give Kathy the last word. If you want to say anything to our audience to motivate them?
By all means, please, everyone in Florida or anywhere in the country, if you can hear my voice on Monday morning, call your senator and your member of House of Representatives and tell them you want medical cannabis.
That's right. Call them now. Get involved. The first 3 letters of activism are ACT. And if Cathy Jordan can do it, you got no excuse.
None.
Thank you so much for you guys having us in your home and allowing us to get this story out to people. It's just been a pleasure to speak.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
Well, that's all the time we got here today, folks. Thanks for joining us here on the Russ Belville Show. For Bob and Cathy Jordan, I'm Radical Russ, and we will see you on tomorrow. What time Saturday are we doing? It's like 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be at the Art Walk, the benefit for Steve Burke, fundraiser for running for mayor of Miami Beach. And have yourselves a great weekend. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it.